I'm going to dissect a Democrat. So this guy right behind me claims that this woman right here is not to be trusted. While she is claiming to be a newfound Republican, she used to be a Democrat who worked for the Kamala Harris's campaign. And I agree, she should not be trusted. She claims that she's switching to the Republican Party, but he also points out at the end of the interview that she starts playing with and pulling out her cross to proclaim her Christian heritage, trying to affirm her new Republican or conservative stance. He says that that's just a sign of her virtue signaling to the Republicans, using the same Democratic strategies to try to win us over, so she can flip-flop and go to the party that's winning, the party with the perceived power, because that's what it's about. And I really think that this is the most important thing to identify in society right now, is that if the left taught us anything, it's that once issues are no longer being exaggerated, faked, staged, or just flat out created on the spot and forced down your throats while they scream, "Why aren't you offended? You should be offended by this." Once you get all that crap out of the way, there's very little division in America. I mean, look at how we came through in this election. And I promise you, before President Trump's term is over, you're going to find out that most of that blue is actually red. Because the truth is, Democrat, Republican, left, or right has been an illusion to cover up the true enemy. Mentally ill, selfish opportunists with no conscience and a superiority complex. But that's a lot to say. So let's use a word to describe them. How about phylactegist, which is just a compound word for pseudo-intellectual strategists. This is actually a word I came up with over 15 years ago to describe the left before we knew they would become the left. The reason I think that this word fits perfectly is because it describes exactly how they always communicate. And it makes it easy to spot them once you know this word and how they communicate. Because communication with them will always consist of pseudo-intellectualism and strategy to twist, gaslight, manipulate the conversation into being the most beneficial for them, depending on their goals, whether the reward they are looking for is in the short term or the long term. Long-term reward-seeking phylactegists are harder to spot, like this woman, because they will put on an elaborate show for years just to kick your feet out from underneath you and win in the end. These pseudo-intellectual strategists do not care about facts in a debate, an opinionated discussion, and especially arguments. And because they don't actually know what they are talking about, they assume that you don't either. So the conversation is never about the facts. To them, they are stupid. Facts aren't real, and it's an ego battle. So they use strategy, aka manipulation. And if you debate with them and they realize they are losing on a point, they change the point of the argument. If they drink your last tea and you confront them about it, they'll claim that they bought it. And then when you point out that you bought it, they'll try to double down that they bought it or change the direction of the argument at this point by saying something like, "You always eat the last of my cereal and you never even pay me back." Thus, switching the dynamic of the conversation from them having to defend themselves to now you having to defend yourself. And now this starts the back and forth, which could look something like, "Well, I only ate your cereal because you gave me permission and I asked." And they're like, "I didn't give you permission to eat all my cereal." And you're like, "That's a lie," or whatever. And this goes back and forth on until the narcissist or phylactegist finally finds one thing that they are right about. And you, being the good person that they are not, will concede to the truthful information with something like, "Okay, yes, you are correct. I did say I would buy more cereal, and I forgot." That's it. You lost. Now they won the argument. In their heads, this is their mic drop moment. They got you to concede, and now they are justified at being angry at you, and they have conceded no ground or given any justification for your initial anger at them. They will do whatever they can to close the argument at this point. Storm off, bust into tears, hide in their room, immediately start ignoring you, drive off in their car. And now you are the bad guy. And you are all mixed up and confused. And surprisingly enough, you probably even feel bad, because that's what narcissistic abuse does. Gaslights you into believing that you are always at fault. But this is a victory to them, because what just happened to you is a narcissist game that the phylactegists play. And you had no clue you were even playing this game. And they know all the rules, the manipulations, the strategies. To them, they think you are an idiot because you don't know these rules. To con, grift, lie, manipulate, to win an ego battle in a conversation. To them, you are a putz, a sap that they could win over and bend however they feel like. Because you, in their eyes, are dumb enough to come in and think you can have an honest, straightforward conversation where truth and authenticity was the core goal. This is why these people have superiority complexes. They genuinely think they're lying and manipulating and grifting makes them smarter than anyone else. They lose real respect for you when you believe their lies and manipulation. But the truth is, they mistake kindness and naivety for stupidity, and that they are, in fact, idiots themselves with low intelligence, typically having low comprehension capabilities because they don't know how to listen to others. They've never practiced. They stopped practicing years ago. And the older they get, those brain muscles are not even there anymore, which is why they hear what they want to hear. You'll constantly be saying to them these words right here: I never said that. I bet that feels familiar, huh? So we've identified that they are low intelligence. Now, what happens when you have a self-developed pathological liar with low intelligence and no capacity for critical thinking? They start believing their own lies. I unfortunately have a sister or two like this, and I have witnessed firsthand watching this person take over a story told by someone else multiple times. I'll give you an example. She hears a cool story. This guy was skateboarding and did a 180 tail grab right over my head. Now she heard that story, then repeats it, but puts herself in the story. I was with my friend when someone did a 180 tail grab over his head. And the more they repeat it, the more it changes. I was at the park and this guy did a 180 tail grab over my head. Now, the phylactegist is in the story. It's their story. It's happening to them, and they believe it and remember being there from visualizing it so many times from their lies because they're delusional. I've heard stories spiral to such lengths that in the end, that she would be the one on the skateboard doing the 180 tail grab over her friend's head. Phylactegists are not left or right. They are grifters. They don't care. They will flock to whatever side has power and control. I think the Republican Party for a long time had a lot of these people as well, and I think they gave the Republican Party a bad name. They used to be called rhinos. But I think over the past 50 years or so, as we are seeing with Elon Musk, they've generated a system of corruption that's so enticing that they all went to the Democratic Party. Phylactegists will always take the path of least resistance and most reward. These people corrupt a good system. They are broken and don't want to fix themselves because that's work, and they're not at fault anyway. Any problem they have was somebody else's fault. They just blame outward and never inward. And the longer this mentality permeates in these people, the more delusional they become. Like watching all these celebrities get older and more detached from reality, pumping themselves full of Botox and chemicals to look like monsters. I mean, look at Maxine Waters. I'm pretty sure she applies lipstick just by falling on it. These people are chameleons, and a part of me just felt like I should make this video because I don't think we should just invite these people back to our side with open arms. I think we should have a healthy level of skepticism. Keep a strong eye on them going forward because we know what these people will do for money, attention, clout, or status. They will weasel their way into power, get insanely drunk on that power, then use that power to quite literally steal your children and convince them to mutilate themselves, just so their ego can feel a boost in its social status. I just hope that now that we can identify these phylactegists, these pseudo-intellectual strategists who pretentiously pretend they are smarter than everyone else, that we can keep them away from any important levers or buttons in society. We already have to put protective labels on everything because of them. And despite everything, I do love you all. Even you phylactegists. I wish everyone the best. Wealth, love, and authenticity to you all.